Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. I've had some technical issues tonight, so I hope I don't look too flustered. My camera was out of focus, and now we're all fixed. But hopefully, you're all seeing me and hearing me loud and clear, guys. I hope you're good. Lauren, welcome in. Welcome inside. No worries about the lurk, mate. You know my views on lurk, and it is the backbone of our channel, both here and on Twitch. So please do lurk away, guys. If we all appreciate everyone's got lives to lead, if you can have us on in the background of whatever you're doing, that really does help us. It helps us with the algorithm and all that jazz on YouTube as well. But yeah, I hope you're good. Welcome in, Nia. How's your weekends been, guys? I feel like I haven't caught up with you guys for a little while because obviously we had some computer issues last week. So for anyone that are followers on Twitch, apologies, there was no stream on Thursday and Friday. Long story short, my PC started frying itself. Like, it went into failsafe and shut down after it got to 100 degrees, which is not good. I went out. I came back to the room half an hour later, and it was like an oven in here, and I realised something had gone very wrong. So I spent the last couple of days doing all sorts of checks and being confident that everything was going to work tonight. We found some workarounds, and I think we're going to be good for a short show. Whether or not we're going to be able to return to stream and tomorrow night for 3 or 4 hours, we'll have to see. So if you do follow us over on Twitch, please do keep an eye out on our Discord, which you should see, by the way, guys. I finally figured out how to pin comments on YouTube like we do on Twitch, so you should see a pinned link to our Discord server, guys. So we mention Discord a lot on here because that's where most of this community are during the week, hanging out and helping each other through whatever they're dealing with, socializing, talking about games and music and movies and all sorts. Go check that out. But yeah, you should, if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, you should see that pinned at the top. If you're not, I've also done this so that you can scan this with your phone. So if you're watching on LinkedIn or X, look at us, guys, we're getting so professional now. If you're watching on X or LinkedIn, then give that code on your screen there, scan, or do a screenshot if you're watching on your phone. Do a screenshot, and then you can check it out later. Then that way you can find us over on Discord. So yeah, we're trying to improve this all the while, guys. And the other little improvement is we now got mugs, not to sell. These are just mine. So those of you that have been listening carefully over the last couple of weeks will know that we are traveling this summer. So the Chronic Pain Club Talk Show stroke the Joel Nelson podcast, one and the same. The conversations you see here live on YouTube eventually end up in the podcast feed. We're just trying to meet people where they are, so we brand it differently in case people are into podcasts, not into YouTube videos, etc. But you can find the same conversations, they just come out in a slightly different order. So yeah, in the summer, we've been fortunate enough to be asked to go to the Netherlands to interview people at a conference. We've been asked to go to Sweden to interview people. And I believe we're also going to go to Vienna in Austria, which would be awesome because I've never been to Austria. So watch this space. And guys, if you are watching this, particularly those of you that lurk away on LinkedIn and would like me to help you raise awareness or capture lived experiences, at your event, at the conferences, live from the conference floor, like we've done in the past at the likes of EULA and EADV and the IFPA Forum, then get in touch and we can work something out. It helps both of us. So, and the more awareness we can raise, the more we can amplify people's lived experiences, the better we can do, not only to help reach other people that are on their own and maybe feel like they're failing and all them other sort of feelings that you get with living with long-term health conditions, but to also educate, reduce the stigma, and maybe shine a light on the issues that really matter, because sometimes people forget to ask the patients what actually matters to them, and they make assumptions, and that's what we exist for, to keep reminding people that it's more, my condition is more than the pain. It's about how it impacts me, how it impacts everyone around me, how it impacts my ability to live the life I want to lead. And that's what we do here on the Chronic Pain Club and on the podcast, to try and raise awareness of the impact of our conditions beyond the pain, beyond the treatment, beyond the what hurts where. Love the intro and the mug. Thank you, Lauren. I'm glad people notice, like you regulars will hopefully see this creeping improvement. Another one, like, look, it's not ready yet, but we'll do little things like this. I'm going to try and do more around the pain company stuff because I've been useless. I haven't promoted that in like 18 months, but at some point we're going to have a bit of a refresh over there. We're going to keep trying to do these little improvements, guys. That's why we use this system, so that we can do more, make it easier for you to find, get the signpost and then the support you need. But yeah, please do go check out our Discord server, a wonderful group of people. I think we're planning now like watch parties. We've got community meetups, and just to give you a bit of a flavour, guys, of what goes on in our wider community on Twitch or over on the Discord. I was streaming the other week, and me and Nia happened to mention that we were going to go see a gig in our hometown. And the next thing I know, 4 people on stream have bought tickets and are coming with us. And that's just like amazing. For me, that peer support is what gets me through the year with my condition in between the appointments. So for me, it really helps. It helps, gives me a social life. It helps get me out of the house. It helps me to talk about my experiences with other people that understand, rather than being surrounded by people telling you did something wrong or you need to try yoga and all those other things. So it really works for me and it keeps me healthy. And if we can help other people, then brilliant. But yeah, just give you a little flavour about what goes on in them places. Come check us out if you haven't seen us. Perhaps you're watching on Facebook and you don't know what else we do on Twitch or Discord. Then yeah, go check that out. And also you'll hear more about what we're planning this summer with our travels. I've got a bit of a sore throat. I'm a bit under the weather today, so I'm going to try and keep this intro short. If this is your first time here, guys, we are here first and foremost as a peer support community. The conversation, the chat that you're seeing on screen on the right-hand side at the moment is the most important part of this show, second only to the story that we'll share from our guest each week. So please do keep that going. Shortly, the chat will come off screen out of courtesy of our guest and to keep everybody safe, but it will carry on whatever platform you're watching on. You will see that most of the people here in chat have got a little YouTube logo next to their name. That's because they're talking to us on YouTube. So if you want to keep that conversation going, that's the busiest place to be right now. The number you'll see on your screen about views, you're only seeing the number from where you're watching. So if you're watching on Facebook, it's a different number to what you'd see on LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. But YouTube is where most of our chatters are. So when this chat goes off screen in a moment, if you want to keep the conversation going, keep getting involved, head over to YouTube, Joel versus Arthritis, Joel vs Arthritis, and you'll find all this chat carrying on. And I will feature the best ones, guys. It's really important that we get them comments and questions. We won't react to them. It won't affect the interview as such. It sometimes leads my questioning. But it's really important for those watching this back who didn't catch it live to get them little snapshots of what's going on chat and try and encourage them to maybe join us live next time. So I'm conscious I've overrun. We started a little bit late tonight, guys, so I need to start wrapping this up. So the chat will be coming off screen now, but please do keep it going. I can't tell you, especially on YouTube, how important it is that the conversation carries on whilst we're having the interview on screen. Welcome in, Amy. I hope you're well. I hope you had an awesome weekend, gal. And I've got to stop saying Norfolk terms, girl. I realise I've got an international audience on here now, and I keep using Norfolk slang. I will try and work my way out of that. But yeah, guys, keep the conversation going. We'll take the chat off now. We'll kill the music. And really special one tonight, guys, and a little bit different to what we normally do. Like, we have a background in autoimmune disease and chronic pain and things like that. But tonight, I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. George Ackerman, who's a Parkinson's disease advocate and sort of driving force behind Together for Sharon, which we'll hear a lot more about coming up. George, welcome in. I hope you're well.
Thank you, and to your whole audience for giving us an opportunity today to speak our message. And in the United States, the biggest thing in the world is the Super Bowl. But for me, Parkinson's awareness is more important. So no offense to the fans out there, but we need to send this message. I wish they would put up a giant scoreboard and just for a minute, put our show and your show, but they didn't listen to it.
Wouldn't that be nice? I did realize when you booked this date, I thought, I'm sure I don't watch American football myself, but I know it's a big thing for a lot of people. So thank you so much for your commitment. And I think that opener is just, it sums up what you do and your commitment to the cause. So obviously we've been in touch online. I've been sort of watching your work from a distance, but maybe for anyone here tonight that doesn't know who you are, do you want to maybe give us that one before we get into the Parkinson story and everything? Maybe just give us a quick overview of who's George Ackerman, a little bit about what you do for your career and this sort of thing, and then we'll dive into why you advocate.
Yeah, I mean, your name of your show is important, just not for my story, but my own self, chronic pain. Unfortunately, not to get off topic, but I had 2 spine surgeries last year that didn't work, and I might have to have a third. So maybe we could talk about back pain in the future. But for now, my career has always been dedicated to victims of crime. So I started as an attorney and then a police officer and did my PhD in criminal justice. And I actually work with African American mothers who lost their loved ones due to crime in West Palm Beach, which is in Florida and the United States. And so I've always been an advocate for victims. So my heart goes out to those who are really forgotten by the criminal justice system in America. And I kind of correlate to the work I do today with Parkinson's, because until recently, the political world, the United States, has had nothing for those who have been diagnosed for Parkinson's disease and the caretakers. And for the first time, I'm proud to say, December 2023, the legislature, Congress, they passed the first bill in history to, it's called the National Plan to End Parkinson's Disease. So now it goes to the Senate. So I'm hoping in 2024, maybe a year after, they'll pass that and it'll go to the president for the signature. But it's not just about the U.S. I'm hoping other countries after will take that plan and implement them in their countries. And hopefully, if we have time, we'll get to that. But I really, again, I'm grateful for your time, your audience. And, I feel like we're all family. It's not just a podcast or a talk. You're doing something that's bigger than all of us that will make a lasting impression forever. So thank you again.
Yeah, you're speaking my language there, because as somebody that often says he doesn't feel like he's got the energy to turn up on a Sunday night, but I do it because you feel like it's a bigger cause. Clearly, we speak the same language. But I just want to say, yes, first of all, sorry about that chronic pain experience. Yeah, let's just get you back on to talk about that. And I'd also love to have you come on in the future as that bill progresses. It'd be great to hear, how your hard work sort of transpired. But what an admirable career, George. And you are not the first person that's come on here who's an advocate that comes from that background of law or working in the courts and things like that. But what an admirable career. So on behalf of everybody, your help, and thank you so much for those choices.
Thank you.
So in terms of and I suppose, guys, if anyone's watching this live or anyone listening back on the podcast, I'll put links to support and everything, because I'm expecting this one to be a little bit of an emotional one. So so if anyone listening or watching this needs a bit of support, let us know, and let us know if we can signpost you. But do you want to maybe tell us about how your sort of experience with Parkinson's disease started?
Yes, I appreciate it. And again, unfortunately, I'm here for a sad story or negative, but I always try to flip it to being somewhat positive. And when we end, I want it to be on a positive note. But on 1/1/2020, my mother sadly passed due to Parkinson's disease, and she had late onset dementia. Back then, she probably had it for 15 years. They didn't have as much research and data today or awareness. Our journey was lost that day, and my mother was my best friend. So what I didn't realize is there's not a lot of male caretakers, which is sad. I don't know if the guys just don't want to step up or talk about it, but I always joke that I'm a mama's boy, and I spoke to my mother several times a day, and I feel that I wouldn't be the man I am today or even accomplish what I have if it wasn't for my mother's sacrifice. So I decided to start a website. It's togetherforsharon.com. We do not accept money. We don't accept anything really, except that I want people out there fighting this disease to know that we send our love and support, and that people like me out there fighting. And literally the only thing I want in return is a cure for this disease. And since then, I started, in a way, our own journey. The website really shows some resources from around the world to help people realize they're not alone. When I was going through it as my mother's primary caretaker, I actually felt alone. I felt sad, depressed, burnt out. When you have Parkinson's disease, it's very different because it affects every person so differently that's why it's very difficult to treat. So what somebody listens today about our journey doesn't mean it'll affect them the same way. Some individuals, never get dementia with Parkinson's, but if you do have Parkinson's, unfortunately it's life-changing and there's no cure. Last week, I had an honor to meet Michael J. Fox. I'm sure many of your listeners know, famous actor, and he has Parkinson's disease. And you can see it's really, affecting him, unfortunately. He had something called young onset, which means he had it very early in age, 30. But it's amazing that people think that it's an elderly disease. It's not. The other thing is, I've always have so much to share. We won't get to it all, but if you go to the website, I decided a year ago, it's not just about my mother and I anymore. It's about everybody. So what did I do? I found there was an organization called Parkinsons World Congress. I never even heard of them, and that's part of the problem. And what I learned is this: about 1 million people in the USA with Parkinson's, but there's 10 million people around the world. So I decided to really set a goal in only 4 or 5 months somehow. I interviewed over 500 individuals throughout the world. One group who I
Wow.
worked closely with was Parkinson's UK. So UK is another area that, there are people out there struggling, probably listening today, that feel alone. And, we just need to get their journeys and stories out. So for completely free, I spent many hours, many nights like you do with your program, and just dedicated a few months and kind of cut back a little bit. If you go to the website and click interviews, you'll see they're mostly written, but over 500 interviews from people from Iceland to UK to England, France, Spain, Australia, Africa, any country, name it. And what I did is I literally posted their journey. So every day I wake up, when I feel tired or the Super Bowl's on or burnt out or I don't want to speak to Joel today, I remember those stories and those people, and it makes me continue to fight on. So I just again want everyone to know that they're not going to be forgotten, and that I'll be fighting till my last day or until we find a cure for this disease.
That's so admirable. And can I just say, George, that really comes across as well, like following you on LinkedIn and
Thanks.
that commitment, it really comes across. And you speak so beautifully about your mother, and obviously that relationship was really strong. Like that must have been really hard to get past the grief to then do something as such a force that you're doing with the Together for Sharon movement. Would you mind, like, maybe, and I appreciate this might be difficult, and hopefully you've shared it a few times before, so that makes it a little easier. But can you maybe talk to us a little bit about when you went from that grieving process to the action for change process and what that looked like?
Sure. When an individual has Parkinson's, it affects again them differently. My mother, she had it for 15 years. I didn't really become involved till the fourth year till she passed. She only had stiffness in her left arm, so she had trouble eating and things, but she still lived an independent life. She lived alone. She was able to, have friends and go out and walk and very love life. Her grandkids were her favorite. She had 3 grandkids. But then the fourth year, she was in a lot of pain too. She had fibromyalgia, which you might be aware of because that's a
Yeah.
chronic pain. She also had dystonia, which is the curling of the toes. She had internal tremors. So Michael J. Fox, you'll see he shakes. So she didn't have that. She had the internal. But I always look back even today and think, did she really know what Parkinson's was? Did the community of researchers know? Was she ashamed? Because sadly, a lot of people don't want to talk about Parkinson's because they don't want to. Even Michael J. Fox released a movie last year, if you saw on Apple, and I think it was called Touch. But anyway, and it was very important because he said his struggle was, does he tell the movie industry because he doesn't want to lose his career, and he's been a hero because he speaks out like I want everyone to do, because we are a family in this. So my mother went for a special program to try and help, and I think they drastically changed her medicines. And that night I was called over at 4 a.m. to our house, and she was moving her furniture out of her home and thought somebody was going to harm her. And that's because of the delusions and hallucinations due to dementia. And that was the day I really had to take over literally her life. And it was very sad. And, I was shocked. But as, again, her son and just someone I knew took care of me when I was small, I was never going to let her be alone. That's the day it started to really learn about Parkinson's. I don't know if it was too late. We couldn't, everything we tried just felt like we failed. But when she passed again, I decided to make a little memory band. I don't have it here, but it just says a memory of Sharon for Parkinson's awareness. And the site, I thought we'd have like 30 people and I'd move on. And if my mother was here today, she'd say, George, don't waste your time. Deal with your kids, But all of a sudden, a week ago, I noticed for some reason there's a little dot on my website, and I scrolled down and it says over 30,000 people have visited the website. And
Wow.
I don't know how I'm on TikTok, and it just kind of evolved by itself. We have a book coming out, and that's going to be really exciting. It'll share my mother's journey and mine. But again, we're not in this. It's hard to go on shows and even have our own podcast because sadly, you would know more everyone seems to want something, in return, but I don't.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to spend time explaining that literally do not give me money, do not do anything. Just know that you're not alone. And I feel the UK, Africa, England, France, we're all family. And this is even in the bill that's going through US, as many of you probably watch, we have a chaotic political system and everybody fights. But this bill, it was completely agreed, bipartisan, and there's no argument because there's no political bounds to stop this disease. It's just affecting everyone. It has no name, has no reason, but we don't even know why people get Parkinson's. And I'm trying to be optimistic, but I could still get it, and so, we just continue to advocate.
And it's just it's amazing. Like there's people are saying in chat watching this live now, it's just amazing. And that compassion and that selfishness like really just comes across. And I know like you reached out to me to come on the show, and that I have two types of the way we get guests on this show happens two ways. Either I have to beg people to get them to understand how important these conversations are, and then hopefully they get round to joining us, or people want to join, but that's because there's an agenda that they've got a book deal and they want to share that, or whatever. So when you reached out and I looked at your work, it proper shocked me to the point I sent a link to your socials straight to my wife and said, you got to check this out because it's just different. It's so different to what we get. So please know that really comes across that I use the phrase made of the right stuff on here a lot about advocates, because we are in a world where it's not always clear what people's intentions are. And I think with the work you do, it's just so transparent and so obvious, and how much you share of your story and such a personal thing. I know there's a point where it helps you, like from a therapy point of view, in terms of sharing, but also that comes with its own challenges, I imagine, doesn't it? Being so open.
I mean, your questions are completely perfect, and not just saying it to make you feel good, but I mean, they're very important. Also, uh, speaking to you today still is helping me. So these are not tough. These are not easy conversations. I've said it 100 times, and I've done like a lot of these, and we have our own podcast. But I feel that I wouldn't be able to continue in this world maybe if I didn't have the opportunity like this today to speak to you and your listeners and viewers, because I don't become like just, hey, I'm going to show up, let's talk about it. But we add this to my website, we share it with the world, but we have to have a continuing conversation, or this is never going to get done. So I think even though it's been 4 years, I still grieve every day because any good things that happen, I would call my mother first. When I met my wife, she became best friends with my mother. So my wife's been a great support. And we co-host the Together for Sharon podcast, where we talk to people who have Parkinson's and just share their story. Just yesterday, I had an amazing one with an individual who's in the UK. His name is Matt Ferguson, and he's actually a comic book artist for Parkinson's. He has Parkinson's, and if you have time, if you check out our website under Together for Sharon podcast, it's not up yet. It'll be out next week. But we put up his comic strip, and it's incredible because it's like he has a little dot, which is Parkinson's, and it's him. So it's a cartoon, but they're film strips like the old days, which we went away from, which I don't think we should. But he's just a hero to me because there's people like that in the UK, around the world, no one knows about. And this gentleman is changing the world in his own way. So again, I always reiterate, it's not anymore about me and my mother, but I guess sharing his journey, talking to you is helping me still continue to fight. And some people are like, why do you fight? Well, I just feel in my heart, I don't want anyone to have to go through, what my mother did and what I did as a caretaker. But again, not to get too sad, my mother, again, loved exercise. She walked many miles, but in the last 4 years, she went from walking to the cane, from the cane to a walker, from a walker to a wheelchair, from a wheelchair to bedbound. And we can't understand even why it accelerated, because there are many individuals with Parkinson's, and they say you don't die from Parkinson's, you die with it. So even to this day, my mother was very healthy, and I'm still kind of baffled as to what really happened. But like I said, it treats every person sadly differently. But don't let Parkinson's ever define you. It might be part of you, but that's not what I wanted my mother to be remembered for. And that's what talking to you still helps me. And unfortunately, I still think I'm grieving. And some days I'll have these and I'm fine. I'll walk out to the other room and I'm 6'2", like 200 pounds in police, and I'll just fall apart because, it's tough. And on the last note, I had the amazing opportunity to work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and I was able to speak to my local congresswoman on behalf of the bill to get it passed. And I had a 3-minute quick speech, which I practiced, and I like talking, so I've spoken to big audiences. And I put the speech on the website under the National Plan to End Parkinson's Disease. But it was just a 3-minute quick speech. And then when I got there to do it, it was on virtual. I fell apart after 2 minutes because there was one sentence that says my mother's favorite time was Sunday mornings blowing bubbles in the backyard with her 3 grandkids. But because of Parkinson's disease, she'll never be able to do that again. So those are again, some of the tougher times. But like I said, from the tough times, it brought so many incredible opportunities, like speaking with you and so many positive people I would never have met. So I'm really, again, so grateful for our time today and our friendship, hopefully going forward.
You're such a lovely man with such kind words. And then I feel like I have the whole I talk about imposter syndrome a lot on this advocacy journey. So thank you. You talked about like so many things you say resonated with the whole, carrying on and using advocacy as a way of carrying on. I'm very much similar for that. I've been really open about the mental health side and that grieving thing. I've lived with my conditions most of my life and I still have my setbacks and my wobbles, and then advocacy is that thing that I turn to. So know that you're not alone with that. And I think also if you ever need somebody to remind you that you're doing a good job, then yeah, drop me a message and I will I will be the first to remind you that what you're doing is having an impact in this scene.
I appreciate it. Like you, we don't do it for anything for ourselves. We do it for everyone else. But every day I still, it's funny because I might have like all these degrees and things, but to me, like, it doesn't mean anything because everyone I meet, I learn something new. And today, again, I'll take a lot to my heart and to my family from our time today.
And I always think as well as on this advocacy journey, it's amazing what you can achieve as well, isn't it? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you're probably like me. If you'd have said years ago that you'd work out how to do a podcast, or you'd find yourself meeting Michael J. Fox, that sort of thing. It's just like you I don't know. You find this strength you didn't know you have, don't you?
Yeah, and I also, again, all of you and every story that the only story that breaks my heart is the one that I'm not aware of. And that's what we're all trying to do is bring awareness for the disease, but also inspire people. This plan, the National Plan to End Parkinson's, that only affects the US, but I still think that UK, England, France, Greece, everyone can take this plan and implement it. There's no reason they shouldn't in your own country. Get those individuals support. A sad, quick story is in Africa. I interviewed a gentleman who I've become friendly with. I would never have been able to reach him if it wasn't for virtual and the internet. So that's only the positive. We have negatives with social media, but what a great positive. But he told me that in his journey, it's posted on the website, that they think that Parkinson's disease is a witchcraft. And that's horrible because they took his mother from him, and this is in Africa, and they wouldn't let anyone see his mother. He had to break out of his community and sneak away and see her, and she didn't even want him to see him. So the problem is, again, if we don't have enough awareness and understand the disease, it's really destroying individuals' lives, not just the health, but the mental, the physical, everything. So I think bringing his story out into the public is very important. And again, I really appreciate the Parkinson's UK. They're a huge organization, but I don't think they're known as much too. And my goal and dream is not just, again, to talk about the US. It's really to reach, everyone in the world, because this is a global fight. And Parkinson's treats, maybe you get different symptoms, but it does treat everyone, in a way the same. And another point, you mentioned something earlier. And when I worked in the law enforcement field and law, I helped family members of homicide victims. That's family members who lost their loved one due to crime. A lot of times the criminal justice system here forgets the family. And I find, again, that the Parkinson's family community is also forgotten. So we have to, do our best to stand up for them and make sure their voices are also heard.
Yeah, I love how representative you are. I also love how much you talk about caregivers, because that's something we're very passionate about. On most of the people you'll see in the live chat tonight are not always people that are living with it. They're the people supporting those, and I
Mhm.
talk a lot about how, if my caregivers fall down, then I fall down, sort of thing. And that really comes across, and I think as well, like there are levels to advocacy. And I know when I started off, I just wanted to share my story. Then it was like I want to help other people
Yeah.
share theirs, and then you become aware of those global issues. And you mentioned like that issue with Africa. We have a very similar thing in the psoriasis community, where certain parts of the world it's considered to be that you're cursed or you did something terrible in a previous life. And I think that's when you've really caught the advocacy bug, when you start educating and being aware of these global issues, and then not being afraid to take them on as well. So I suppose you really are not just focusing on the United States here, are you? You're doing it globally.
Yeah, my goal again last year, I had like an awakening in a way and realized that again, it's not just about my mother and me, it's about everybody. Because unfortunately, our story has ended. Mine continues on as an advocate, but I'm no longer a caretaker, unfortunately. But there's so many again out there, and I find if I could coin a term, maybe I should trademark it and sell. But I think about in law enforcement, in criminal justice system, those family members are called secondary victims because they're not the ones who are harmed physically, but they're treated like victims in the system because they're really no one lets them know what's happening with their family member. No one knows what's happening with the criminal who might have taken. It's horrible. I feel like in a way I was a secondary Parkinson's victim because my mother had Parkinson's and all the signs, but I was sitting there throughout it all in horrible anguish, pain, trying to figure out how to explain to her. We don't know what we didn't know, she was going to pass. She was only 69. That's very, very young, 24. In my view, I might be wrong, but I would think we would live till, 90 these days or 85. And that's a lot of time she was robbed. And if you consider it, she might have passed at 69, but she was suffering with this horrible disease for 15 years. So she really, in a way, passed at, 45, 50. So it's just very unfair. And again, I I write. I have a book. It's done. It's just going to take a while to get out there because you want it right. But I don't tell a lot of people that the last year of her life I actually videotaped and took pictures of her. But I won't. I did it for medical science if they ever called, but I won't share it because I don't want her to be remembered like that. But I
Mhm.
did keep a journal. So in that journal, with just a few notes a night for 1 year, and it really shows you it's going to be tough, but shows my struggles, my anguish, my anger, maybe a little moment of happiness and all that. And we're going to put that, it's in the book. So there's a lot of exciting things in a good way. And my dream is even if today's talk just teaches one person in the world about my mother, Sharon, that again, we've changed the world for the better. So, like I said, I really appreciate you and all your audience. And again, this shouldn't end today. Feel free to follow me on all the social media. I'll follow you back. The other thing is, we're not a foundation. We're not a company. It's just me. It's my wife, is my family, but really it's just me. So I get like people mistaking us for a foundation. I don't want that. Like, we don't want the taxes. We don't want the money. If you look on Together for Sharon, there's a link to donations. That link goes to 4 or 5 organizations around the world that help, like the Michael J. Fox Foundation, the Parkinson's
Nice.
Foundation, and it's cool, very cool. I like the word cool, but because they made specific pages, so it's their organization. They made pages that are dedicated in my mother's memory. So if you donate even 50 cents, it'll go in memory of my mother, but to their organization, which is beautiful because again, I don't have to deal with all the the money and all. I don't want anything to do with that, and we don't get anything. Our own family donated about $15,000 in the last 4 years. My goal is again to get to 50,000 someday, but again, I'd rather just stop that and have a cure. And I have a daughter. She's now 11. My mother, I'll never forget a story. My mother never had any girls. She had 2 boys. Her dream was to have a daughter, but she didn't. So when we told my mother our first born was going to be a girl, my mother's face lit up. It was probably one of the best days of my life. She started crying, but in joy, and she bought all these dolls for my daughter Brooke, and she bought dress. She wanted to dress her up like a doll. So I'm really thankful for those good times she did get to have with her, and But I look at myself and think to Brooke, maybe you can continue together for Sharon.com in the future if I'm no longer here. Lucky, I'm still pretty young, but you never know anymore in this life. So, but then before I said that to her, I'm like, you know what? Wait, we don't want that. I want to cure, and I don't want to have this anymore. So obviously the site could be up, but I don't want her to have to, run it because I hope we have a cure.
Yeah, I've had similar thoughts with my son, and he's very conflicted. It's like, oh, maybe they could do that, but then, yeah, if they're still doing it in 30 years' time, and that'd be tinged with a little bit of sadness for me because you'd want to think you've moved forward a little bit. So, but I think just to pick out a couple of things you said there. First of all, know that just you is a wrecking ball enough in this conversation. You're doing amazing things on your own, and I certainly didn't have that full awareness when I was looking through your website a couple of weeks ago and everything. And also just massive taking my hat off to you regarding the whole fundraising thing, because with all that you do, it'd be so much, there'd be a logical point to make it a foundation and everything. So when you go on your website and click those donate buttons, and it goes to other organizations, like, I don't know, I think that just summarizes you perfect
We
perfectly.
actually, one time, we do a lot of walks like for Parkinson's and for other organizations. And we sad in a way because we have a table, I pass out bands for free and have a poster of my mother and I, but we're in the middle of all these pharmaceutical companies selling things. So
Yeah.
sometimes the people passing by are scared because they think we're trying to sell something. But I had a gentleman who actually realized what we were doing, came over, hugged and cried. We didn't even talk, but it was like the best moment. And even though I love virtual, sometimes that, in person, like you said, you travel to a lot of the places, which I think is amazing because, in person, seeing people and talking and hugging them is just so amazing. But yeah, I mean, you got to try. And I thought about even having a foundation in the future, but like I said, I hope we don't need to because I hope by then we have a cure.
Yeah, it's just like I say, it's incredible because I'm always very aware that I'm relying on the same people supporting us, whether it's when we stream or we do this on a Sunday night and people subscribe and things like that, because it's literally the only way we can reach and do those things in person. Particularly, when you got long-term health conditions, things like travel insurance, etc., it isn't exactly cheap. So yeah, to do everything that you do and just point people's financial support elsewhere, I can't tell you how wonderful and love it. I think it just sums you up as a person. There was one other bit I just wanted to call back to what you said there, and that was about the moments you had of your mother and the videos and the photos and that. And I think I just wanted to touch really quickly on that for anyone that's watching this from like an advocacy point of view about that importance of keeping something back for yourself as well. I don't know if you agree with that, but I know I share so much of my journey. I it means a lot to me to have just a little pocket that's just mine. You know what I mean? My part of the story that maybe doesn't get shared. And I don't know. Do you find that as well? I appreciate they were difficult days, but just having those memories that only you have.
Yeah, I try to think of the good ones, but sadly, again, the bad ones seem to be like overtaking them. Like the one night I rushed to my mother's house, the night I became her real full time caregiver, was I brought her to the hospital. They said we saved her life, but I was like almost kind of happy about it. But then when I saw what it did after, it was sad. But I actually brought her to the hospital. I went back home to pick up some of her clothes, and I know you probably, everyone here has like post-it notes, that you use to keep notes to yourself.
Hmm.
I went into her room to pick up clothes, and the whole room, it was like a kind of a scary movie, and there were post-it notes everywhere. And at that point, they had names of people and animals that used to live with us that are no longer here. But she couldn't understand at some point because of the dementia who is, reality and who is not. So those kind of moments, like it's tough to just forget. I relive them a lot in the book, but those are the worst times. But then again, I got to keep thinking about the good ones. But then there's even like holidays are tough. Last December for the holiday, there's like a chair missing at the table,
Yeah.
and then my mother loved music, and I always joke and said they tortured me with Iron Manilow, Lionel Richie, and Kenny G growing up. But then now I love them all. And my
Yeah.
wife, my wife and I actually went a few months ago in Florida to see Lionel Richie. And after we left, I was so excited, but I wanted to pick up the phone and call my mother, but I couldn't. So those are the things that still trouble me. But like I said, I keep smiling. You got to keep positive. when there are some nights I might even be talking to you at like midnight online because I don't sleep thinking about the other individuals who are still going through this. And that really kind of drives me. I don't know if it's a positive, negative, and we could have a whole talk too about caretaking, but it's just, you got to keep pushing, you got to keep fighting. And if something means the world to you, then you're never going to give up. And all my podcasts are, individuals who have Parkinson's or organizations or also who loved ones who lost people for Parkinson. So those individual stories too, just wake my eyes up and keep me going. And until I could see there's no more stories of people struggling, I got to keep fighting.
Yeah, we'll know as somebody as an onlooker of all the paths you could have chosen with that grief, you've definitely done the most positive thing and more. You go above and beyond. So thank you for everything that you do to raise awareness. And I suppose on that point of like raising awareness, I'd like to talk about the Michael J. Fox thing because, like, for somebody from my generation, you might haven't had an elderly relative or something with dementia, but for Parkinson's, that was really, as a man born in the 80s, that was my first real sort of public conversation awareness of the disease. And yeah, tell us about meeting him and what did you talk about?
No, I appreciate it. There's a lot of celebrities, unfortunately, have it, but still today, I won't name names. They still are just kind of shy and don't want to come out and talk about it, which is sad. I actually reached out to a few. One's a very famous comedian, and one's an actor, but they're not ready. I did have the honor to speak to one of Muhammad Ali's daughters. I interviewed her. It's on the May. It's on the website if you look under interviews. I don't want everyone reading for 10 hours. I had a gentleman write me lately. They said they were on the interviews. They actually spent 10 hours and they loved it. And I'm like, that's amazing, but I don't want to take your whole day.
Yeah.
But anyway, they see that. She told me incredible stories. Again, we don't have the time right now, but there's also, I actually reached out lately to Ozzy Osbourne's son, Jack, trying to reach, because it's not just about the celebrity, it's the families. They're all like Sharon, they're all affected. There's also so many, sadly, some we've lost, like former Attorney General Janet Reno. We can keep going the list, but the problem is Parkinson's is one of the fastest growing neurodegenerative diseases in the world. So that's frightening. So that means that when I go on things, speak, even I did a podcast the other day, the host even said his neighbor has it. And so people now are not just seeing family get it, but now neighbors and friends and people, coworkers. So meeting Mr. Fox, it's a long story, but I loved him as an actor. I love Back to the Future. Ironically, when I had back spine surgery, which was a nightmare, the only reason I was excited was in the hospital afterwards. They had a marathon of Back to the Future. After that, though, I don't know if I want to correlate, back pain to Back to the Future, but so he hasn't been doing too well. They have a big gala every year. We haven't been to it, and I heard that he hasn't even been able to attend his own gala for 3 years. I don't know why, but it's likely because of Parkinson's. So there was just, for some odd reason, a friend of mine, he likes celebrities and he's amazing. I don't have the time and like the patience. They wait in these long, long lines around the country meeting their favorite. It's great, but I can't do it. So I would never normally go. But I thought in my mind, he's not doing great, but this could be one of his last public appearances. Why don't I go? It's about a 3-hour drive. And usually, again, I don't go anywhere because I work a lot. I'm a professor of criminal justice and we work a lot. Even after we're done here, I'm going back to work. And before I met you, we were working, but I love my work, so I'm not complaining about that. So anyway, I looked to my wife who works with me and I said, can you believe Mr. Fox? I like calling him Mr. Fox, but I said, he's going to be only 3 hours away. And this is like a once in a lifetime thing. And then I said, forget it. I know I can't make it. She's like, you should just do it. And I said, you know what? You're right. So we just dropped everything and we went. And it was more of like one of those Comic-Con things where it's more for Back to the Future and his, actually Christopher Lloyd was there, Leah Thompson, and the big guy who plays Buff, I think was his name. I don't remember. But so they were really there for that. But I was coming at it at a whole different world where, if I could just get a minute to talk to him. So I planned this whole speech, and then I get there and they say, you can't speak to him, you can't touch him, all these rules, but they forgot that I'm a cop and a lawyer, and I'm like, it's my one shot. So I had my band, And let me. I wish I had it, but this is the. I don't know if you can see it. This is the Together for Sharon band. It's right there.
Yeah,
That
that's
one.
coming through. Yeah.
And so I rolled it up in my hand sneakily and got the opportunity to be up to him. And I noticed, like, when I looked at him, he was sitting in a chair, like a lot of the other actors. He couldn't really, he looked like his health wasn't the best. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe he just didn't, he was tired. So I'm just saying from my point of view. So I leaned over. I told him that, he's my hero. And I'm grateful for, how he stands up for Parkinson's. I told him about togetherforsharon.com. Said we lost my mother due to Parkinson's. And again, all the money goes to his foundation, and we're not going to give up till there's a cure. And he said he appreciates, thank you. And I thought, and I had a little part, I was going to ask him if I could interview him someday, but part of me, like when I saw how he was acting, I don't know if it was partially happiness, but also a little sadness, thinking of my mother at that moment. And it all, like, you ever have like one of those moments, everything just flashes by too fast. That's how I felt.
You're on autopilot.
So I, got the picture, I left, and all of a sudden, I didn't know. Well, later in the night, I didn't look at the picture because I knew it was us. Later in the night, people who also met him, but for Back to the Future, were posting pictures everywhere. And one of my friends wrote me and said, "Did you see this, George?" And I said, "What?" And he was actually wearing the Together for Sharon band the whole night.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
he put it on himself. So it was just an honor that he now knows about my mother. He knows about what we're doing. And, that was a moment I'll never forget. Unfortunately, afterwards, I went to the bathroom and started falling apart because
Yeah.
I feel bad that he's still fighting it and that we lost my mother. And then I thought again of all those other people who, this is a beautiful actor, a beautiful spirit, beautiful person. And his whole life, again, has been kind of pushed back, even though he's still fighting, still doing things. No one should ever stop your dreams. And Parkinson's, unfortunately, when it accelerates, because we can't control it, it can ruin individuals, lives, caretakers, families. And I still feel confident that we will have a cure very soon if we all play our role and play our part. And if everybody listening just tells one person, like a neighbor, a friend, a cousin, someone you haven't spoke to, that they know about Together for Sharon and your work, Joel, that we've spread the word. And I hope that really spreads like more of a disease than Parkinson's, because our word of mouth is much better and more efficient than even medical science. So I think, if you look at other diseases and viruses like COVID, unfortunately, I mean, I'm not saying it's gone and all that, but we had some kind of vaccine fast, like beyond history. And again, I don't know how safe it is and all that, but if we could just have something to slow the progression down. Now, we do have more research since my mother passed that shows exercise, diet, things like that can slow down the progression of Parkinson's. But again, it depends what stage, and it's just so different for everyone. If it was my mother at the 4th year, it wouldn't have, exercise wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, I think the only thing I've got going in my head that I really want to get across to you is, like, every now and then you'll meet people, especially with what I'm doing with this work, and they talk and they just leave an impression, and I think that just sums you up perfectly. We've shared so many stories on here, but I'm not even surprised that he was wearing that wristband, because you are just that type of person that you speak and people listen, and it makes an emotional connection. I think that's a really special gift, and I'm sure your background in law and everything as well plays its part in that. I just, if next time you're worrying about if if it has an impact, or when the grief gets too much, or and I'm worrying about the world we're leaving to our children, this sort of thing, just know that this conversation will stick with me for a very long time, if not life.
No, I appreciate it. And I don't know, I know you have to wrap up soon, but I did want to say one thing. I'll wait till you're all ready, but I don't know if I should say it now.
No, you
I'm-
go for it. This is your time, so
I
please
mean,
use it how you want.
I could say all night, and then you guys won't want to talk to me ever. But
I'm more
anyway,
conscious it's your Sunday afternoon where you
I appreciate it. But I do have one important message that I try to leave every podcast I do, in my own or others. And I just want everyone listening, and feel free to share this, but this from us. We love you, we support you, and we care a lot about you. You're never alone. I will advocate for you, and together our voices are so much stronger. And I always say I'm just getting started, because every morning I wake up, I'm kind of rejuvenated in a way, and I just ready to just keep fighting, even though I'm sacrificing some days my own health and I mean, I used to be a big fitness person, but I just don't have the time because I think this is more important than me and us and everyone. It's very, very important. So I say I'm just getting started, even though I've been doing it for a year or more. But again, I'm so grateful, and I'm still available. But I wanted to thank you for the time and all the listeners. And again, we're all family in this fight. Together for Sharon is behind Joel and also your fight. And if I could ever be of any help, always count on me too.
You're a wonderful human being, Dr. George. just amazing, and make sure you find time for you as well, because as somebody that has very similar views.
Too late for that.
Yeah, as somebody that has very similar views, and I go in at the deep end with my advocacy, I have to kind of remind myself to find time to do the things I want to do, because unfortunately that burden that you can feel with all the people that need help and need support and their stories that need sharing can become a bit of a sort of one-way road. So but you are absolutely welcome back anytime. Like the comments we've had in chat have been amazing, and I'm sure we'll have the same reaction when people listen to the podcast back in the coming weeks and months as well. Where can I know we've talked about the website? Anywhere else you want to tell people where they can find you in terms of like social media and things like that? Obviously, you have a YouTube channel, I understand.
Yeah, if you go to togetherforsharon.com, scroll down towards the bottom, it shows all the social media. But like I said, I know I'm grateful that you picked this guy from the U.S., but this is not a U.S. issue. It's a U.K. issue. It's a Europe issue. It's America. It's all of us. So Parkinson's doesn't discriminate, sadly. But if we all fight back, we're going to definitely end this disease. Again, it's just me, but I feel like we're all family, so that I'm not alone either in this fight. But I'm easy to find. I'm always on. And I don't even know how it's grown this big. And I imagine we're actually flying to New York City for the first time it's called the Unity Walk, and it's the 30th anniversary. So every year in April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, which that's another talk, because to me every day is Parkinson's Awareness. I don't know why it's just a month. It's not for the people diagnosed and caretakers. It's every day, every minute. It's not 1 month, but it is nice to have that recognition. But that's going to be amazing because people from all over the world join, take a little walk in Central Park, which is iconic in New York City, and we all just people with Parkinson's care, we're just going to walk for a mile in memory of all our loved ones and raise money for the disease. And Michael J. Fox Foundation is actually sponsoring it, and it's sad because they had the Unity Walk, but COVID destroyed it. I don't know the story behind it, but it kind of ended it, and they've actually been nice enough to pick it up, and they're continuing it on. So, when someone's down or sad or has pain, it's amazing that others out there can help pick you up and get you going. And again, I always want to end it in a positive way. So everyone listening, again, don't feel down. Just exercise 45 minutes a day if you can. Hug your loved ones and just keep smiling because, another thing, my wife was incredible. My mother had her worst days. I mean, the last year she went from someone with a normal weight to being so skinny that it was almost horrific to see her. But my wife was amazing. We just wanted even those small moments, like a second or two, if my mother could smile. So my wife would bring in, and we're men, so I don't know anything about this stuff, but she brought someone to do my mother's hair. They brought a pedicure, a manicure, all this stuff. Some days my mother was too sick. But there is one special time. If you go to Together with Sharon, scroll to the bottom of the main page. It's getting too much stuff on there. And when we have interviews, we have podcasts, we have media, we have, this will be on there one day. But so if you scroll down, the last story, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I was only 40, 50 minutes from New York City with Broadway. My mother loved taking me as a child to Broadway. I learned how to play guitar. I've been playing for 20 years. It's more, again, just for fun. It was snowing one week, and my mother decided, "Why don't you learn guitar?" And I said, "Sure." So again, another thing here. But before my mother passed, I'd say a week before, she wasn't able to really talk anymore. So she lost ability to do anything. And so we had a guitar therapy. I don't know if you know, there's actually music therapy, and I think it's incredible. So we actually decided, why don't we play the song "Memory" from Cats? Because when I was a kid, my mother brought me to New York City, Broadway, to see Cats. So we played the song, and it was really amazing. And we somehow, for some reason, I taped it, and it's on the website. You won't see my mother, but at the very end, she said, "I loved it and thank you." And those were her last words she ever said to us. She lived for 7 more days and didn't really. It was we don't have a thing called death with dignity in Florida, which they're trying to pass, where we treat our animals happier and nicer than our own family. That's different in every state and country. So I commend the states that do allow dignity for those who are end of life. But again, so I was able to have that amazing moment we put on the site. So you'll see a lot of things on the site, again, our story, but now it's becoming again about everybody. So just trying to stop putting things on. I get excited that there are exciting things happening. The walk, I'm a weird person because I don't have Parkinson's, and I'm not currently a caretaker of someone living with Parkinson's. So I've been to many support groups, but I don't speak. So I stopped going because I felt like I can't tell the stories about, wills and how important it is to have a funeral plan, because I don't want to make people sad. So I was approached by a Canadian organization called PSP Awareness. And this month, it's kind of history for me. We're starting the first ever support group, and I'm going to run it completely free, no charge. And it's virtual. So it's for anyone around the world who lost a loved one to any disease. So it's not just parts for anything, cancer, Alzheimer's. And we're just going to meet. We're going to just talk to each other and know that, we're supported. I'm kind of scared because if it gets too many people, we won't be able to do it. You want it to be kind of really small so you can all, but anyway, so there's incredible positive things happening. And I just don't want to end on a sad note. If you do read my book eventually when it comes out, it's this journey of my mother and then leads to my journey as her caretaker. And then the aftermath in a way, but my journey now as an advocate and keeping my mother's memory alive. So, it ends in a good note and for, others. And I just want to, again, thank you and the audience for your time. And this, again, doesn't end now. I'm sure me and you have become good friends. And I hope all those here with us today and listening to recorded will also join us, because without everyone hand in hand, we're going to be further from a cure. But if we all team up, join together and share even just Joel's podcast today with the world as much as we can, then we're going to end Parkinson's disease. And then maybe we can all take a little break and breathe for a minute. But until then, we fight on.
You're Dr. George Ackerman, you're a wonderful human being. It's such an honor to meet you. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm going to end by bringing you back to something you said a few minutes ago about when you said, I don't know how this got so big. I think I'd probably speak on behalf of everyone that's listening and watching this either tonight live or in the future. I think anyone that's been in this audience will know exactly why this got so big, because what you're doing is brilliant. And again, please look after yourself, make time for yourself, and keep doing what you're doing, because it's incredible. It's just incredible. And thank you for giving up your Sunday to share some of what you do with us. And you're welcome back anytime, absolutely anytime. When that book comes out, as things progress through the Senate and Congress, as and when you do anything, on this journey, which I'm sure this is just the start, then please do, get in touch and come back and give us an update.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And again, we send our love and support to everybody with any, struggle. It's not just about Parkinson's. We're a family. I want to end Parkinson's. Maybe we can help end dementia, because that's another terrible infliction that my mother had to fight. But sadly, we don't have time for everything. So we have to concentrate on one first. But dementia is a tough one. So thank you all again for your time and love and support. And I'm sending it right back to you. Thanks.
Amazing. Dr. George Ackerman, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for everything you do, and I'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Guys, let me bring chat up. If anyone needs support, guys, please do let us know in chat, or if you want to DM, and I will point you in the direction. We've been trying to share as many links. A big shout out to Nia in chat. Nia is currently our only YouTube mod. If anybody else would like to help her, trusted member of the community, people we sort of already know, that'd be great. But Nia, amazing job sharing all those links tonight. Thank you so much for that. Guys, thank you so much for the comments as well. I feel like I would normally do a big thing here where we'd chat for 10-15 minutes and wrap up the show. I kind of feel like we all just need to go off and hug our loved ones now. Like, genuinely. And when the show ends, I normally do lots of work, couple of hours, whether that's clips and videos and podcast editing and all that sort of stuff. I kind of just don't want to be in the office on my own now. So thank you for those that hung out. Thank you for all the lovely comments. I tried to share as many as we could where appropriate. Like I say, guys, if you are watching or have been watching this on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and any other platforms this has been multi-streamed on, you'll see most of the conversation, most of the things I shared were from YouTube. So please do check us out on YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Joel versus arthritis, VS arthritis, or search Joel Nelson. Yeah, join that conversation because they're an awesome group of people. But yeah, I've got to say that's probably the most, like, we knew it was going to be tough. I said that in the promotion of the event, and we knew what was coming. But I think I wasn't really prepared for just how, I think, selfless is the best word. It's just unbelievable. You know, like, you guys know what it's like when I'm on Twitch and I feel bad when people sub and cheer bits and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's kind of, without that, we can't do everything we do. So for someone to be doing all of this in the name of other organizations and out of their own pocket, it's incredible. Just really incredible. And go check out everything that George is doing. It's just amazing. And their website, I think he hinted a little bit at it, that it's just a wall of resources. Unbelievable how one person and their partner can put so much together. Just incredible. So go check that out, guys, and give them a follow on social media. I think it's Together for Sharon on Instagram and Facebook. Just awesome. I don't think I need to say anything else. I just want to make sure everyone else is in chat is okay. If anybody needs support, if anyone wants to talk to anyone, if anyone needs us to signpost, I will chuck up here our Discord. We have we have Facebook support groups. Facebook's not for everyone. Also, I'm a little bit nervous about the direction some of that's going in, a bit like what's happening on Twitter as well. So we do have a peer support section on our Discord server, which we have obviously full control over, whereas Facebook kind of picks and chooses what posts to show in a group. So if you want to check out our Discord, there is a peer support section there where we have a little forum where you can share things, or if you need a bit of help. But obviously, if it's very much Parkinson's related, then head over to Together for Sharon and lean on all the amazing resources that are there as well. Nia, you've done an amazing job tonight, guys. If you're still with us, give Nia a big thank you in chat, guys. We couldn't do it without her. And when am I back? Monday night, Twitch. Sorry, I forgot to do my admin bit. I'm still shell-shocked. Monday night on Twitch. We should be on Twitch tomorrow night, guys. That is subject to the PC. It's currently sitting at 36 degrees. I've had to set up on my Stream Deck a specific sensor for it, because after the issues I had technically last week, I think it's going to run a lot hotter when I'm streaming a computer game, but for now, it's working. So hopefully tomorrow night we can be on stream Minecraft. We've got to start doing some preparation, guys, in ready for Word Day. So on the 18th of March, oh hell, I didn't get a link for my fundraiser. I'm such an idiot. I should do this. 2 seconds, it's coming. I don't expect any of you regulars to give here, guys, because you already support me more than enough. But on Monday, the 18th of March, is Word Day. Those of you that know me by now will know that most Word Days, well, the last 3 or 4 years, I've done like a big 8-hour fundraiser. We'll be doing the same again this year, where we'll be in Minecraft. Minecraft, we got a totally free-to-play server that's built from the ground up by me. Don't ask me how I did it. A lot of Googling. Where we will be, you can just join. It's for peer support. It's for escapism. It's stealing these jobs now. You come in multitasking, doing that thing that a man shouldn't be able to do. But yeah, guys, if you ever want to get involved in that, it's completely free to join. As long as you've got a copy of Minecraft Java, you can join us, and it's built around escapism. If you live in chronic pain, if you've got stuff going on, maybe you're affected by some of the stuff that was discussed tonight. The whole point of that server is we don't talk chronic illness in the chat. That's what we do on Discord. That's what we do here on this show. In the game, we don't talk chronic illness. It's just there to go and switch off. I use it myself when I'm struggling. I know there's lots of other people in this community that do as well. So go check that out, because we will be doing a big mass build project on Monday the 18th of March for Word Day. And I'm going to need your help. And up before then, guys, we've got to sort these permissions out so I can give you regulars access to building spawn. So at some point, hopefully maybe tomorrow, we can start seeing if we can get that to work with a couple of you that I know and trust. And then ready for Monday, the 18th of March, we could do a big build another spawn area, which would be awesome. Amy, I'd love it if you're around. I know everyone's busy. I know it's not ideal as a Monday. I'm an idiot for taking time off work to do these things. Not everyone can. I get that. But I'd love everybody to like have their little spin, especially our regulars, our VIPs, as I call you. On spawn, that'd be great. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. It's just computer game stuff. It's just, again, it's meeting patients where they are. You might watch this on a Sunday night because that works for you. That's amazing. You might listen to this back, which you won't hear this because it'll be edited off on the podcast for the interview, because that's what works for you when you're on the train or walking the dog. And for other people, they play computer games, and that's what we do the Minecraft thing for. And as I always say, if anyone's got any other ideas, don't ask me how I fit it in, but if anyone's got any other ideas about how we can meet patients where they are, where maybe more traditional forms of support, where patient orgs, stuff like that, maybe aren't reaching them, that's the beauty of being an independent. I can just do what I like, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, we try something different. Get in touch, and we'll we can give something a go. I don't think I've got anything else to share, guys. I think that's it. Oh, one other plug. I knew there was one more thing. We've started a newsletter. You can see it on screen now. Let's see, I'm not going to put a link in chat because clearly Nia will just get upset with me for being too efficient. We're starting a new monthly newsletter. So because we've got all these trips coming up in the summer with our podcast, we used to have a newsletter, got like 100 odd people on it, which is amazing. Realised that has just got kicked to the curb with all this other stuff when this all blew up. We're going to pick that back up again because I feel like it's so hard keeping everyone updated on multiple platforms now. Every now and then, Facebook basically now, I cannot post anything on Facebook with a link. If I put a post about a video, a podcast episode, a live stream, a fundraiser, it just none of you see it. Like, I think I'd done the fundraiser one and only about 50 people out of over 1,000 got shown it. If I do a YouTube video, it's even less. Like, I have to do a post and then put the YouTube link in the comments. Facebook is really screwing little nobodies like me when it comes to trying to share our work. So the idea of the newsletter is once a month, no spam, no passing on your email, etc. You'll get a little summary of the latest podcast episode, maybe some of the people coming up on the Chronic Pain Club show here on a Sunday night, where you can find me at events, all that sort of stuff, because I just can't keep up. If I put it on Facebook, half you don't see it because of the link thing. Twitter, X, I don't really agree with what's going on there anymore, so I avoid it. LinkedIn is fine if you want to celebrate your successes, but nobody wants to hear about the real stuff. Sorry if you're watching on LinkedIn. Hello to all my LinkedIn viewers, but we all know it's true. If I go on there and talk about the realities of living with this disease, nobody's interested. If I put about how I spoke at an event or I got an award, or you watch everyone gush over it, so that needs to change. And Instagram's just hit and miss. It's hard to do things with words. I'm a word person, not a picture person. So yeah, go check out that patient voice newsletter, joelnelson.ck.page/newsletter. I'm working on a better link, guys. That's the best I got for now. I'm not made of money. And you'll find a little summary about everything we've got going on there. I think I've spoke too much, guys, but hopefully we lightened it a little bit, so we're not just like all going our separate ways after sharing some very difficult content tonight, but conversations that really needed to happen, that really needed to be had. And I hope that helped, guys. Welcome, Selby. I'm no loving and leaving you, mate, but I hope you're well. And until next time, guys, I will probably see you on Twitch tomorrow night. That's twitch.tv/Joel vs Arthritis, or if you just go to any of my socials, you'll be able to find a link. Until next time, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. And yeah, please do give the live stream a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you watch it back, like Selby saying there in chat, please do give the video a like. It really does help. We get just as many views after we end this show on the rerun than we do for the live. And then, like normal, if you're new here, give it a couple of weeks. I'll top and tail it so it's the interview only. You'll then see a second video on the YouTube channel where it's the interview only. So you can go to the Chronic Pain Club playlist to see just the interviews, or you can see the previous live stream playlist where you can see all of these shows in full, warts and all. So yeah, until next time, guys, have a good one, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.